Hi, welcome to episode 31 of Virtualized Geeks Tech Talk. This is an episode that is a follow on to a pretty, at least the article wasn't too inflammatory, but the title was, which is VMware a one hit wonder? VMware has a really solid product portfolio. Let's start off of that by that. Everywhere, everything from vSphere to VCAC to VCD to vCenter Operations Manager to VMware Log Insight Manager, one of the more recent products, to obviously their desktop virtualization suite. They have a huge selection of products to choose from. But I think just going over kind of those products, I think you saw an interesting theme throughout those products. Those products are mainly geared around their virtualization platform, vSphere. And when you're a VMware customer, you're kind of in this VMware bubble or this VMware world where you have an awful lot of management tools and extensions to your VMware vSphere environment to leverage. If you want to go with a cloud solution, it makes logical sense that you can expand your VMware cloud out to the VMware hybrid cloud using your VMware vSphere environment or your existing vCenter to expand out to VMware's hybrid cloud service. If you want a good portion of data from Log Insight Manager, that's there. Although I don't believe Log Insight Manager is only VMware specific. Then there's also VMware Horizon or VMware View, obviously, which runs on top of VMware vSphere. If you want to provide VDI as a platform, VMware has an awful lot of products available to their existing vSphere customers. But kind of the premise of my article is what happens when vendors such as Citrix, Microsoft, open source projects catch up to vSphere capability. Obviously, VMware touts a very strong ecosystem, management ecosystem, but ultimately the question that I'm raising is that enough to keep the industry lead? I like to liken it to or compare it to Novell and Novell's domination of the network operating system back in the early 90s and very part of the century where there was just no question if you needed the file and print server, if you needed a network operating system, Novell Network had 82% of the market. They had built the ecosystem around that. They had their group-wide solution for messaging. They had their firewall solution to provide firewalling. Zen. They actually had another product that had used the Zen name. I think it was ZenWorks was the name of their desktop management solution. So a very strong ecosystem, but Microsoft came with their general purpose operating system in Windows 2000 and basically made a good enough solution that did enough things that appeared to be free, which eventually eroded Novell's market share. Novell never stopped integrating. They focused specifically on what they did well, but eventually just focusing on what you do well is not enough. So ultimately, that's the question I have for kind of VMware is focusing on what you do well enough to keep your market lead, and they I think have a much more difficult challenge than Novell. If you look at VMware, they're a wildly successful company built around vSphere. So there are non-vSphere focused solutions like VCAC, which is their vCenter or VMware Automation Center, which is automation right now is used the ability to manage your infrastructure, deploy your infrastructure in an automated form. Very critical, I think, area for them, as well as NXX, their network their network virtualization play, which they spent $1 billion on. So they obviously have big hopes for that. Are those you kind of, are those secular solutions enough to bridge an organization as large and complex as VMware, as the market around vSphere and virtualization tools starts to mature? Is that enough to bridge that big of an organization over to a new product base? This is no new this is no new complication for IT companies or companies that innovate in general. You take a look at Microsoft and saying, okay, how do we leverage the Windows and Office cash cow to the next product that will sustain us going into the future? HP, Dell, looking at servers and desktops and PC market. How do they go from having those strong presences in those very mature markets to services, software? How do they bridge over to those questions or to those industries and those different revenue streams? So, that's pretty much, it's more of a business question for VMware. And then even from the enterprise, I've asked the question, similarly, what impact does it have if you choose a new, if we rewound back to the early part of the century, if I chose NetWare at the wrong time, I'm stuck with this legacy OS that I have this huge investment or wasted investment in that I have to support for the next 5 or 6 years, whatever the software cycle is at your organization. Do you get stuck in that cycle? I don't think today we're at that risk with VMware. vSphere isn't going anywhere. vSphere 5.5 is incredible. Offers incredible capability. The management suite, I think, is still unparalleled. So I don't think it's a relevant question for today. But forward-looking, I think it's a valid question. Is VMware going to be able to kind of spread out their product line beyond just vSphere? And will they pay attention to kind of non-vSphere customers? Well, that's it for this episode of Virtualized Geeks Tech Talk. I encourage you to visit us at virtualizedgeek.com for more commentary on cloud computing, virtualization, and IT enterprise infrastructure in general. Like the YouTube videos and look forward to talking to you in the new year. Thanks.